Story 1. Cheat on me with my best friend. I'll wreck your career and publicly humiliate both of you. I've been getting a surprising number of requests to post an update to this story. I guess it blew up a bit on TikTok, which I don't use. Where to start? It's been a bizarre few years, especially with COVID thrown in the mix, which I somehow still have never caught, despite my kids getting it twice each. Thankfully just mild cases. Well, at the time that I posted the original story, I was obviously a wreck. Things actually got significantly darker for a while after that. My ex decided to start bringing shithead around our kids just a few months after she moved out, which was really hard for me to deal with. I'd never really dealt with serious depression before, but things got bad enough that my doctor more or less forced me to start on an antidepressant because I admitted to him that I was thinking about suicide pretty frequently. I think this is where I should mention, trigger warning for the rest of this paragraph. I had a very specific plan and everything I needed to do it. The one thing that gave me any kind of relief was telling myself that if life got any more unbearable, I had a way out. So yeah, shit got bad, but I'm still here, and thankfully I don't think about that option anymore. I reluctantly decided to dip my toe into the online dating world, and after a number of short-term things that didn't pan out, I actually connected with someone. We'll have been together for 2 years next month. She's absolutely amazing. We don't live together, and for the time being, we're both good with seeing each other a few times a week. Would I love to see her more? Yep. Am I ready to live with someone again and go all Brady Bunch with our respective kids? I'm not sure. For the time being, we have a lot of fun together, and that's more than good enough for me. As far as things stand with my ex and shithead, they're still together, but there seems to be trouble in paradise because my kids report that they almost never see him anymore. My kids don't like him at all, and they just avoid him when he's around, according to my older one. When all of this started, she had seemed confident that they'd be living together pretty soon, but they still don't. And as far as I know, there are no plans in the works for that. They did buy a boat together, which I find hilarious for some reason. It just seems like the classic affair couple thing to do. Sarah took a long time to accept that her marriage was truly over, but once she did, she really did an admirable job of moving on. She engrossed herself in home improvement projects. She remains the same incredible mom that she's always been, and she's been in a FWB-type relationship, which is all she wants right now, with a nice, funny guy for almost 2 years. We hang out here and there, especially when my pool is open in the summer. We aren't nearly as dependent on each other as we were in the beginning, but we're still close friends. And no, still nothing more than that, which I'm glad about, because the one thing this situation definitely never needed was more drama. My ex left the school district she was working for and took a job in a neighboring district. I have no idea what shithead is up to, nor do I care. I hardly ever see him except at the occasional school event. For a while there, I was worried that he'd look at me the wrong way and I'd wind up in jail for knocking him out in an elementary school cafeteria or something, but I just don't care enough about him anymore for that to be a concern. So, all in all, life is pretty okay right now. I do miss being a family. I still have nightmares about all of this stuff and deal with intrusive thoughts at times. I fall asleep to audiobooks now to keep those thoughts at bay. Otherwise, I still struggle to sleep sometimes. But my girlfriend is amazing. I have an incredibly supportive family. I just officiated my sister's wedding a couple of months ago, and I have a big dog who needs lots of walks, and that's a huge help for me on so many levels. I hope that update answered people's questions. Thanks again for all of the support. Wow, okay, what a journey. First off, thanks for sharing this update. There's a lot to unpack here, and it's definitely a roller coaster of emotions. So, let's start from the beginning. It's pretty relatable how you mentioned that you never caught COVID despite your kids getting it twice. Kinda surprising, right? How many of you out there had similar experiences? Maybe drop a comment if you dodged COVID too. Now moving on to the darker times. It's really heartbreaking to hear about your struggles with depression and suicidal thoughts. It's good that you had a doctor who stepped in when things got tough. Mental health is such a serious issue, and it's important to talk about it, even if it's just to acknowledge the struggle and how you found a way through it. Entering the dating world again seems like it was a mixed bag, but hey, you found someone who's amazing. Congratulations on that. It's cool that you're taking things at your own pace. Sometimes the pressure to rush into something can really mess things up, so it's nice to see you're going with what works for you. And about your ex and shithead, yikes, what a name. It sounds like they're having their own issues. Funny how you mentioned the boat thing. It does sound like a stereotypical, we're in an affair and need a distraction move, doesn't it? Also, hats off to Sarah for moving on in a positive way, focusing on herself and her kids. It's also great to hear you two are still friends without any added drama. Lastly, your support system sounds amazing. A girlfriend who's awesome, an engaged family, and of course, a big dog needing walks. Sounds like you have a lot of good things going for you. So overall, it's great to hear you're in a better place now. Keep leaning on that support system and doing what makes you happy. And for everyone watching, don't forget to take care of your mental health and seek help if you need it. Thanks for sharing, and see you in the next video. Story 2. I got my childhood bully arrested. I was bullied repeatedly by this guy when we were kids. I saw on his social media profile he was arrested because his profile picture was of him in one of those visiting cells. I also noticed his last name on the account wasn't the same as when we were kids. I wondered why, so I looked up his original name on the arrest warranty registry, and there was indeed an arrest warrant out for him. It matched his birth date. I reported his social media and name change anonymously and got $1,000 from his arrest. My county has an anonymous online report system that gives you a confirmation number to follow up on, and you submit that confirmation number to a location if it results in an arrest. To this day, no one knows I ratted his alias to the police. I guess you can say his debt has been paid. Wow. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's break it down. The storyteller had a history with this person, a bully from their childhood. Already you can tell there's some deep-seated issues there. Imagine being bullied as a kid, and years later finding out your bully got arrested. For me, the most interesting point is they noticed the change in last name on the bully's social media. That's a pretty keen observation. I'm curious if you guys would have noticed something like that. Let me know in the comments if you would have spotted that detail. Another intriguing part here is the process of reporting the bully's alias to the police. It's kind of like a modern-day detective story, right? And hey, scoring $1,000 from it, the county's online reporting system sounds pretty efficient and incentivizing. What gets me thinking is the moral aspect. Should the storyteller feel satisfaction from this? They say his debt has been paid, which adds a sense of closure. But is it really closure, or does it just reopen old wounds? What do you guys think? Is this justified, or does it feel more like revenge? Drop your thoughts below. Story 3. How I got a car dealership to give my friend a newer car. Circa 2020 January, my friend makes a stupid decision and buys a brand new car he can't afford. His insurance is like $400 a month. He makes like $10.25 an hour working as a shift supervisor at McDonald's. His car payment is like $795 a month. Now, at $10.25 an hour, 30 hours a week, that's a weekly income of about $300 a week, or about $1,230 a month. So yeah. So my friend came to me for help because I used to sell cars and know the industry pretty well. I go over his paperwork. The dealer did rip him off, but my friend is trying to find a way to get out of this mess. And ripping someone off isn't illegal. They did, of course, overcharge him for warranty, they gave him a higher APR, they had add-ons, etc. But none of that is illegal, and I know the only way I can get my friend out of this deal is if they did something illegal. So I look at his finance application that my friend signed. It correctly listed his income, which turned a light bulb on in my head. No bank is going to approve someone for a $795 car payment if they are only making $1,200 a month. It does not make mathematical sense to do that. So I start searching through his paperwork for the finance app the dealer submitted to the bank. Oftentimes, when you submit a finance application at a dealership, the dealership will take the hand-filled out application and reproduce it electronically. This is pretty normal. However, on the application the dealer submitted to the bank, the dealer said my friend was a GM of the McDonald's and made $70,000. My friend had good credit, so it doesn't appear like the bank asked for proof of income. So I go to the dealership with my friend and tell the sales manager he's going to want to put me in touch with the GM because we are going to be unwinding my friend's deal and giving his trade-in back. The sales manager thought I was joking. The GM also thought I was joking. Then I demonstrated how his dealership finance department committed bank fraud. I showed the GM the finance app my friend filled out. I then showed the GM the finance app his dealership submitted to the bank and pointed at the income difference. My friend really made $14 a year. The dealership claimed my friend made $70 a year. That's bank fraud. That's a felony. Let's keep this simple, shall we? The GM sees his dealership is in a load of shit. The proof I am presenting to him is rock solid. He knows it, I know it. We are all on the same page. He goes, okay, so what can I do to make this right? I go, unwind the deal, give me my friend his trade-in back. Unwinding the deal is basically the GM agreeing to cancel the deal and basically erasing the deal and pretending it never happened. GM tries to avoid that, but I remain firm and remind him we can easily take this documentation and turn his life in a living hell. He knows I'm right. My friend also needs a car to get to work the next day. The GM says he'll check into it. He comes back and tells me, unfortunately, they sold his trade-in already. I said, that's fine. Unwind the deal, and let's put my friend into something as good or slightly better than what he traded in for. So the GM goes, so he'll buy a car similar to his trade-in? I said, no. You'll give him a car similar to his trade-in. The GM goes, it doesn't work that way. I go, it does when you commit bank fraud. GM is upset with me and I remind him, I'm being really nice and this situation can totally get really ugly. Like felony level charges ugly, like losing your franchise ugly. So, yeah, this is going hurt, but it's going hurt less my way. So the GM goes alright and he looks in his inventory and he tells me they have a 2007 Focus with 10K more miles. I tell him, no. The car you give my friend needs to be the same or better than what he traded in. The GM counters, I'm giving him a free car. And I go, no, you took his trade-in, you sold it, you made money on that sale. You also committed a felony in the process of selling him his new car. You are now correcting that mistake. This isn't a free car for my friend. This is you are correcting your mistake. GM insists that's what he's willing to do. I tell him if he can't do better than that, we will go to a consumer protection attorney and have a conversation with them. My friend didn't want to go this route, but it was our plan B. We get up, the GM says, wait, give me a second. The GM goes, I have a 08 Civic, it has 5K more miles, but it's a Civic and not a Focus. I unwind the deal on the new car and put your friend in the Civic at no extra cost. We agree, GM has the paper drawn up. The old loan on the new car is canceled. They take in the new car again, but because it's already titled, they'll have to sell it as used. That sucks for them. And they gave my friend a better car than the one he traded in. For people asking why we didn't get a lawyer involved from the start, we could have done that. But courts take a long time, and this was a faster way to fix the situation. Wow, what a story. So your friend made a pretty poor decision by buying a car he couldn't afford, right? Let's break this down. He's working as a shift supervisor at McDonald's, making $10.25 an hour, and decided to buy a car with a $795 monthly payment. Plus, he's also paying $400 for insurance. That's approximately $1,200 in monthly expenses for the car alone, when his monthly income is just about $1,230. Clearly, the numbers don't add up. Now, what's interesting is that the dealership committed bank fraud by inflating his income on the finance application. They claimed he was a general manager making $70,000 a year. Have you guys ever heard of such a blatant lie by a dealer before? Leave a comment below if you've ever had a bad dealership experience. So they confronted the dealership. At first, the GM and the sales manager thought it was a joke, but after seeing the solid evidence, they had no choice but to unwind the deal. Did you notice how persistent and firm the friend was? They didn't back down even when the GM tried to offer them a less favorable car. In the end, they managed to get the friend a better car, an '08 Civic, at no additional cost. Talk about turning a bad situation around. Do you guys think they handled it the right way by not involving a lawyer initially? Let me know your thoughts.